Corey Swiergosz here with Slap News, and I have my man, Waylon Frost, joining me. How's everything going, my dude?
It's going great, man. First and foremost, I want to thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome, man. Here at Slap News, we want to get down and dirty with you, man. We want to know, how did you get started with Power Slap?
So I've been training boxing and jiu-jitsu with Donovan Cross. He's actually one of the competitors that was out there last March. So I've been training with him, and about maybe 3 weeks or a month before the qualifying fights out there in Vegas, he had got a call and they were looking for another welterweight. I think I was walking around maybe like 180 at the time to 185, and he referred me. So I got a call from Michael with the UFC. Said that Donovan gave him my number and he wanted to know if I was interested in competing in welterweight. So I told him I could cut the weight and go out there and try it. So I didn't really know kind of what was going on with all this. I mean, I'd seen some clips of slap fighting on TikTok or Instagram, things like
Yeah.
that, but I didn't know they were really trying to make it this kind of sport like this. So yeah, I just basically got the call, said let's try it, and went out there and did it.
Nice, nice. So was this during the trials in March, or was this in December?
So this was in November.
November, okay.
Yeah, so maybe like I said, 3 weeks to a month before those qualifying fights that did happen in December. Yeah.
Gotcha. Very cool. So it kind of was just blind luck that you're kind of, right place, right time, and you took the opportunity, which
Yeah,
is
pretty much.
great to see, man. I think a lot of people have talked about, how vague some of it was, going into it. And, at least into the trials anyways, they weren't given a ton of information. And I think the more and more you see it, it's kind of coming through. Was the first time that you stood up against Alex Ashbury, was that kind of the first time that you've ever, swung at somebody in this fashion?
Uh, in this fashion, yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
it's funny because the first like slaps that like I was throwing, well, I mean, I threw a couple in my hotel room, like the previous nights before out there in Vegas. But I think where I mostly worked on them was actually in the locker room. While I was like waiting for the Asbury fight, they had like a padded post in there,
Yeah.
and I was kind of working them out. There's some other guys in there who had done it before, so they were kind of showing me some things. But yeah, I actually, I'd thrown maybe like 10 or 15 slaps with that post, and maybe 10, 20 minutes before it was my time to go out there, I went to slap the post, and I missed, and I caught my thumb.
Oh,
And
sure.
I caught my thumb on like the edge of where the drywall was, like the unpadded part. So
Yeah.
there's actually, I don't think you can see it in in the fight or anything, but I did have like an open wound on my thumb. It just stopped bleeding and everything. I took care of it, but yeah, I think those were probably the first like real hard slaps I was throwing was on that post right before my first one.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So on the Power Slap website, it says that you are a bear hunting martial artist. What does that mean?
So just going up out here in Payson, Arizona, I mean, we're surrounded by, national forest and everything. So my family, for generations, we've been hunters. So we've hunt big game, we hunt bear, lion, elk, deer, pretty much everything. So it's just kind of how I grew up out in the woods with my family hunting. And then as far as the dirt bikes go, like I got into dirt bikes maybe 3 or 4 years ago. My brother had rode one for a long time, and
Mhm.
he's always trying to get me to ride with him. So I bought one, and then I fell in love with that too. So yeah, just a lot of things that get the adrenaline up is pretty much what we're into.
Cool. I wasn't sure if you meant like legit bear wrestling or bear fighting. What's going on there?
Yeah, yeah. I don't plan on wrestling any. I'll leave that to the hound dogs. But yeah, I don't want to wrestle any. That's for sure.
Oh, good, man. Let's do a little review quick of the Alex Ashbury fight. So, you're backstage, you said you're hitting the post. What's going through your mind as you're getting ready for them to call your name and usher you out to the stage?
So it was pretty interesting. I tried my best to what I like to do before I perform is just kind of do like affirmations and meditation, just get my mind like focused on the task that's come before me. So there's a little bit of just getting inside my head and saying it's go time. Telling myself I'm going to win and we're going to go out there and perform. it was a little bit interesting in there. Michael Bisping, he did come into our locker room and he interviewed us and everything. So that was kind of cool to meet Bisping.
Nice.
But yeah, as far as getting ready for it, I mean, like I said, just like meditation and just getting my mind in the right spot to perform.
Yeah. Well, have you competed amateur, professional in boxing or MMA or any of that beforehand?
Never anything like sanctioned or anything.
Okay.
I train with some pros, and we'll spar and things like that, in our own gym and everything. But no, never any professional or sanctioned fights.
Gotcha. Awesome. So you get up there, you're swinging first against Alex.
Yes, sir.
Probably, like you said, that one of the first times that you're swinging against a human. How worried were you about fouling and wanting to be more, I don't know, strict or rigid, with your first throw? Because you definitely looked a lot more tense that first one compared to the second.
So yeah, I think that I definitely wanted to have like the cleanest strike possible, because I knew after we'd gone over the rules and everything, as far as the clubbing fouls or the stepping fouls, I wanted to make sure that I had a clean strike because as I was telling some of the other competitors, like the only thing that would really piss me off in a loss is if I lost due to being clubbed or something like that. If I get knocked out from getting hit in the eye or something like that, that's not clean. That's when I'd really be pretty pissed off. So I want to make sure I didn't do that to anybody else. So yeah, I mean, we did a lot of training, once I got into the house, as far as, learning how to be as accurate as you can and learning how to not move your feet.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually I got called for the foul on my second slap. I think maybe I had just gotten hit, right before my second one too. So maybe I was a little bit out of it, but yeah, I mean, I was definitely trying to focus on it, but I guess just for the second one, I just kind of slipped my mind. I just wanted to finish the guy.
Yeah. Do you remember anything about being on stage, or is it all a blur to you right now?
There's some things that are blurred. There's some things I remember. Like an interesting thing that I can tell you is I knew that Alex fell on my second hit. I knew that he hit the ground, but I did not remember him going straight down on my first hit. Like if you would have asked me before I watched it back, I would have told you that I rocked him on my first hit, but he didn't go down. But when I watched it back on Wednesday, like he fell straight to the ground on the first one. I did not remember that at all. Like in my mind, I remember seeing like after I hit him, like his eyes kind of dart back and forth a little bit, like trying to stabilize himself. But so yeah, it is pretty crazy up there. It is like a blur. I mean, it happens so fast, but I mean, it's great time.
Totally. So you get into the house, obviously. How many was there? 22 of you or something? They say,
right?
Roughly
Yeah. So
like
originally, it was 22. Originally, it was supposed to be 16, but just with kind of the rules as far as if you do get TKO'd or if you're medically not knocked out medically, you can't compete for 60 more days. So they kind of needed some extra guys in there just in case something like that happened. But yeah, it wound up being 22.
So you got 22 testosterone-filled males, open bar, endless food in a mansion. What was that like?
It was crazy. It was a different experience, that's for sure. I think the most interesting part was just meeting these guys, kind of seeing how everyone gets down, seeing kind of where you fit in and who you can relate to. I know a lot of these guys knew each other from the previous events. There's even a couple of guys out there who actually knew each other pretty well outside of all this. So yeah, it was just interesting, just kind of meshing with the guys and seeing how we're going to get down in 2 weeks living together.
Yeah. So is it true that they took your cell phones away for the entire time also?
They took everything.
Crazy.
No cell phones, no laptop, no TV. Like, World War III could have been going on outside. We would have had no idea. Yeah. But yeah, they took cell phones and everything. Yeah.
But they didn't do you any favors and invite any women over for during the 3 weeks at all?
No, I mean that would have been nice. They had Nina Marie, I believe is her name. They had her stop by to kind of do some like Instagram reels and things like that. Just kind of do some social media content with the guys. But yeah, that was pretty much it.
Pretty much it. Okay. They've teased now, Christopher Thomas, your fight's coming up this week. What are people going to expect from that fight?
I think it's going to be, probably one of the most exciting fights. So Chris Thomas, they call him KO Chris. And I mean, we've seen from, last March, his fights. I mean, he's getting pretty much everyone on the first shot. The dude's got just a rocket arm. He hits like a truck. So, yeah. And then I'm basically the new guy that came in and, had to prove himself to get his way into the house. And they put us together right away. I think that I was told that Chris Thomas, he had kind of chosen me. Well, this is what Chris Thomas told me himself, was that, when they asked him kind of who he's looking forward to fight, he said he wanted to go with me because he said I look like his only real threat or his real competition, in that weight class. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to see some trash talking and you're going to see some stuff like that in the episode. So it's going to be exciting. Absolutely.
Cool, man. That's great to see. Overall, there's obviously been some negative press in regards to powerslap in the media. I mean, I look at it, I think all press is good press, and I think the sentiment's going to change. I mean, very much the way boxing started, MMA started. I think they're getting the same, or you guys are getting the same treatment that they did as well. Overall, how did you feel that the UFC handled, the health and safety of their fighters?
I think they did great. I mean, I think that if people are, okay and comfortable with, the UFC medical team, then they should absolutely be okay with powerslap because it's the same medical team. They're all professionals. They're all very good at what they do. And before our first fights, we all had appointments to, we all got brain scans, we all got the EKG test, we all, for our hearts. We went through, eye tests and, the whole 9 yards to make sure that we're 100% medically cleared and safe to compete in this sport. And that was before we even got out there. And then, the day before the fight, we obviously get checked again. The medical team checks us out, make sure we're good to go. And then directly after you get off that stage, you get checked again. So, and if these doctors are seeing anything that looks even, slightly worrying, they're sending you to get checked out at, the hospital. So they take the health very seriously. Us fighters take the health very seriously. And with the rules in this and with, all of us being, want to be as professional as possible, we're keeping it safe. And I think, Dana has put a big stamp on that part of it, is trying to make it as safe as possible so we can continue to do this. So, I mean, but like you said, there's obviously always going to be bad press. There's going to be people that have negative things to say about it. But, everyone who's there, everyone who was inside those rooms, we all feel comfortable.
Oh, that's great to hear. What's on the docket next for you? Have you heard back from the guys in regards to, continuing on with a slap career? Are you looking to get into any MMA, anything else? Like what's your main focus?
So yeah, I am going to be competing in the pay-per-view Power Slap 1 in March. I got that locked up. So after that, I'll probably continue to do these slap fight events. But these guys that I have here in Patient that train me, they they're getting me some. I'm going to try to get 3 fights in this year, either Rage Cage or something like that, and hopefully I can get onto a bigger stage, like maybe Bellator or something like that within the next year and a half. This next month, next February, I have a jiu-jitsu tournament coming up, so that'll be another thing to test out my competition. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking to grow in this and definitely want to get some real MMA fights in there.
Awesome. Are you training specifically for slap now on a daily basis?
I do work on my slaps weekly. I would say maybe 4 or 5 days a week, but it's not specifically all I train. I'd say most of my training is still in the boxing and jiu-jitsu, and then whether before for an hour or after for an hour, I'll get in there and work on the slaps and do things like that with my team. But yeah, no, it's still pretty much the same training I had before, just wanting to mix in a little bit more of the slap with it.
Awesome. It's really great to hear. What about the shenanigans in the house? Any shenanigans you could share? Who's the biggest jokester in the house?
The biggest jokester has definitely got to be Jesse Nutting. That dude, he's got a personality, that's for sure. Really cool guy. But he's definitely an interesting character. I think everyone's going to see that as they watch the show. But I mean, he was really the only one that was like really a huge jokester. I mean, we all laughed and had fun in there, and there's obviously some heated moments in there because that many dudes trapped in the house, haven't talked to their families, can't get on their cell phones. you need to take that frustration out on something. And I think we all kind of took it out on each other a few times, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
What about Ryan Phillips? Any dirt on him? He seems to be squeaky clean. There's got to be some dirt on him somewhere. Oh, could you hear me or no?
I'm sorry, buddy. You broke up there.
Oh, good. Sorry, man. I was just saying, what about Ryan Phillips? Any dirt on Ryan Phillips that you can share?
I'm sorry. One more time, bud.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying Ryan Phillips. Is there any dirt on him? He seems to be squeaky clean.
Ryan Phillips. I mean, Ryan Phillips was pretty much like he was squeaky clean as far as I can know. He was actually one of the more laid back guys in the house. I think the most we saw Ryan get riled up was like when other guys were having issues or late at night, he's trying to sleep or something like that. Then he'd come out and kind of, you know, pretty much try to be the dad of the house and just tell everyone to get to sleep or things like that. But no, Ryan was one of the more laid back guys. And I remember there was a couple of times, you know, I could kind of like rely on Ryan to kind of give me some training and stuff like that. You know, I would question him probably more than anybody else as far as, you know, how to throw slaps, how to take slaps, things like that. So he helped me out quite a bit in there. He's a good dude.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, where can people follow your journey?
I mean, obviously powerslap on TBS and Rumble. You can also find me on Instagram, Waylon Ice Cold Frost. You can also find me on Facebook at Waylon Frost, and TikTok, Waylon Ice Cold Frost. But yeah, I definitely encourage them mostly to watch powerslap on TBS and on Rumble so that, you know, we can continue to grow this great sport, this great entertainment that I think you know, despite some of the negative reviews it's gotten, it did jump up 40% in ratings last week. And I think people eventually are going to see how serious a lot of us take this. And, you know, it is an actual sport and there is technique in this. And, you know, there is safety protocols. And I think that it's something that is going to get a lot bigger.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you here. Obviously, you know, here at Slap News, we want to see it grow and continue. I appreciate you taking the time to join me here today. I hope we can have you back again real soon to, you know, break down, you know, possibly your upcoming fight with Chris Thomas after it happens.
I look forward to it.